All right. Finally, I have the legendary, half man, half amazing, Jeremy Williams, two-time world heavyweight champion. Marco Egart? Elgart. I fucked up.
It's okay.
Let's see.
I don't like the
Let's
last
do it
name
again. Marco Elgart. I fucked up. Ex-boxer.
Ex-boxer.
Club owner.
Comedy club owner.
Comedy club owner. And fucking boxing historian extraordinaire.
Thank you.
And today they both entered the Valley of the Beast. And we're going to see exactly what the fuck they know and don't know.
Oh, shit.
We're going to put their ass to the test.
Well, I first would say this is a really, really dope-ass gym you got here, man. It's in Signal Hill, which is just inside Long Beach. And if you don't know Iron Addicts, you're missing something, because this place is fantabulous.
And I didn't even pay him over $3 to say that shit. So.
$2.26, 27 cents. You get me for an endorsement. Not a problem.
Now I'm gonna start it out like this. And me and Marco been going back and forth on fucking social media. We don't agree on a whole lot of shit, but we do agree on a lot of shit too.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. I consider myself to be a novice boxing historian, because boxing, I was a 6-time world champion weightlifter when I was young. But boxing, without a shadow of a doubt, not even close, is my favorite sport. Hands down, boxing, favorite sport. And I think what made it my absolute favorite sport was trying to do it. And I realized early on, Marco, that the shit wasn't for me. I fought in small tournaments, and I realized that, hurting people just didn't do it for me. Let me ask you this, Jeremy. To be a successful boxer, killer instinct is a necessity.
Yes and no. Killer, yes, but you have to be very tactical. Like, the smarter you are, the better boxer you're gonna be. And then when I say smart, I don't mean smart like 2 + 2 is 4. I'm talking about smart like tactical, like I gotta figure out this guy I'm fighting, and then I've got to overwhelm him to beat him. You know what I mean? So boxing is a thinking man's sport. It is not just like, I would imagine every sport is like that, but boxing, there's so much more, and you think like this. You think so much or fast, it's just a reaction. Like, I do punches, like I watch films of fights I've done, I was like, oh shoot, I threw that? I didn't even know I threw it.
But that being said, it matters who you ask. You're asking somebody whose whole career was based off killer instinct, this guy. Then you have other fighters who are more content, moving, dancing. They don't want to take the risks. You know what I mean? So it depends who you are. Right. This guy, definitely killer instinct.
Like me, for me, I'm like, I'm going to try to make sure that the judges and referees have nothing to do with this decision.
Yes, you did.
That's what I do.
Okay, Marco, since you brought that up, you said it depends on the fighter. But when I say killer instinct, I mean simply this. When you got a guy hurt, you have to be able to finish him. And see, that, for me, if I got a guy hurt and I see he's hurt bad, then I had a tendency to back off. And I don't think you'd be successful when that happens.
Yes.
You want to back off. I'm thinking about the guy's kids, his mom or somebody.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really concerned. Yeah, about, could I possibly injure him for life? Or his kids might be looking on TV, or his mom looking, or somebody might be filming this, and the thing that's I'm thinking about the impact that what I do to him is going to have on him. And at the moment that he's hurting, I don't think you can.
I only stop when you hit the deck. When the referee does this, the referee do that, then I stop.
And let me say, Jeremy owns the second fastest knockout in professional boxing history. All weight classes, total, 8 seconds. That's how hard this man hit.
Yeah, but I mean, ideally, like, I want to hurt you. You know, because at the end of the side, on the other side of that is he wants to hurt me.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me, and I'm gonna get this fight over as fast as I can.
And once, but yes, and that's the name of the game.
Right, but you know when those fights they go to decision, and when me and you are even, and we're going back and forth, then it's a chess match.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Then it's like, you know, and it's probably the same when you're lifting like really super heavy weights. Like I'm gonna skip this weight to get to the next one or something like that. I don't know.
Trying
how
to
it
yes.
goes, but you know what I mean? You're like you're saving and you're prepping for the next step, and that's what I would do. I'm like, okay, this guy, all right, I'm not gonna knock him out. I'm not, well, not with anything. I'm trying to knock him out with it. So let me now figure out how to beat him, because some guys you can kick him in the face and nothing's gonna happen. So you know I'm just gonna outbox this guy.
Like James Toney.
Like James
who
Toney.
he's going to be fighting in
October 29th.
2 or 3 weeks. James Toney's never been down. Oh, against Roy, but that was more of, even though he dropped him, remember that? He kind of tripped. He wasn't really hurt. James Toney's, he actually told us that he was only hurt once when Sam Peter hit him in the back of the head.
Ooh, Sam Peter, that's well shit.
And he said that was the only time he actually felt like his bell rung, because the Roy thing was more of a balance.
Didn't he say I ran Barkley?
No, he said Iran Barkley didn't hurt him at all.
Oh,
he said Murky Sosa was the hardest puncher.
Yeah.
Really?
Roy Jones said the same thing. Murky Sosa's the hardest.
No shit.
Yeah.
Surprising, right?
That is surprising. Wow.
Oh, Murky Sosa, well, they were at like 68, 75?
68 at the time, yeah.
Like 168?
Harder than the blade.
That's what he said.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
But you know, we talked to a lot of fighters, Jeremy and I, and a lot of different fighters have different perspectives. Like we spoke to Kevin Kelly. He said that Prince Nassim didn't really hit that hard. Now I don't know if that's ego speaking or what, because he had him out.
Yeah, and I know you got Prince Nassim way up on your knockout.
I do. You don't agree?
No, but let's hear why. Let's hear why you.
Why do I have him there?
Yeah. Because of it, pure numbers wise, the percentage of knockouts.
The numbers, and also when he would hit people, they would just crumble, and it would be shots that were so unorthodox. He had a tendency of doing kind of what Razor Ruddock had, the smash. When we talked to Razor Ruddock, I actually brought that up, and Razor Ruddock said, yeah, I saw Prince did it. There's a punch where Prince was a southpaw, so he would come in a lot and just kind of do almost an uppercut and a jab, and for some reason that would just crumble people. And the shots he threw a lot of times didn't look like they would do much damage, but people would just drop and not get up and be stumbling around, and
and he had a whole lot of style too.
Oh my God, Nassim was a great athlete. That's the kind of guy, in my opinion, could play basketball, could play soccer, could play football, could play baseball. Like certain guys are like that. Like other guys are not athletic. Like Michael Nunn. He can't dance and chew gum, but is one of the most
But he
talented
fight.
I mean, he can fight his ass off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Second to none.
when I saw that, we were at a club in Germany, and he was dancing like he was doing the two. And I was like, you're supposed to dance to the beat, not the word.
I saw Hagler dance after one of his fights. I don't know if you remember it, and it looked pretty uncoordinated.
Really?
Yeah, pretty but he was a monster. So not.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
he was a monster. You know, Hagler said, I ain't come to dance, I come to fight. And he was, what fight in your remembrance was where you were most scared for your favorite fighter? Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Tommy Hearns, John the Beast Mugabe.
They fought? I don't remember that.
Yeah, 80s.
I know Hagler fought Mugabe. Did Hearns fight Mugabe?
God damn it, now you're gonna make me look the shit up. I'm sure.
Let me look it up. I don't think they did. But
It was Hagler.
Hagler fought Mugabe.
I wasn't worried about Hagler fighting anybody, to tell you the truth. I was not worried about him fighting anybody. If he went in there with King Kong, I would put my money on Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
That motherfucker was
Let's see, Hearns.
just bad to the bone.
So, but the question was what?
Yeah, okay. What fighter you were really, really?
No, he didn't fight Hearns.
Oh, okay. Damn it. Fucking
Sorry.
one for Marco. I'm gonna get you for that one. Okay. So a fighter that you really were worried about, you know, he was one of your cats, and he went into this fight, and he was really fucking worried about him getting hurt.
That's a great question.
I was nervous when Hagler fought Leonard. Marvin Hagler is my favorite fighter in the whole history of favorite fighters. That's it. When he fought Ray Leonard, and you know Ray, and I didn't think Ray was gonna stop him or anything like that, but I just was like, you know, I'm like 12 years old, like just thinking like, God, I want, because I see Marvin Hagler just destroy people.
Yeah.
And Leonard is moving, dancing, and his showmanship. I still believe that Leonard lost the fight.
Wait a minute. What you got to say about that, Marco?
Which one specifically?
Do you think that Leonard beat Hagler?
No.
Oh my goodness.
But I will say I did have a bit of a bias towards Hagler. I liked Hagler more than Leonard. It was a close fight. I don't think anybody could deny that.
Yeah.
Real close. I think Hagler beat him. I feel like Leonard was flash, but a lot of those punches weren't landing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
A lot of
Yep.
a lot of Hollywood.
This is the first. We all agree.
You agree too?
Oh hell yes. Lost half my paycheck on Marvin Hagler.
I lost my lunch money.
My buddy came to work the next day with a fucking big ass bag of CNH sugar on his. I was driving forklifts at the time for the post office. We had a big ass bag of CNH sugar on his forklift. Nothing sweeter than sugar. Nothing sweeter than sugar. I knew it. I'm like, fuck
rubbing
it.
it in.
Yeah, rubbing it in big time. But I still think that Hagler won that fucking fight, Marty. Yeah, man. Like you said, it was you know, the punches were flashy, fast, pity pat, and I think he had a lot of sentimental judges that, you know, they wanted, you know, to see the monster. Yeah, exactly. They wanted to see the monster get handled, and I just don't think he did enough.
Yeah, me neither.
Nope, don't think he did enough.
That fight was in 86.
So what I want to answer the question too, but what's yours? What fight did you watch where you were scaredest of for your fighter?
It was, and Ali had pulled off, you know, so many miracles, and I was probably the scaredest when he fought the heaviest hitter of all time.
Shavers?
No, he is,
Okay.
but no, George Foreman. Yeah. I was worried for my boy, you know, and I like Ali so much I changed my middle name to Muhammad Ali. I mean to Ali. So yes, that's legally my middle name is Ali, and that's how much respect I had for that guy. But I was super worried against Foreman, because Foreman was destroying people. I was looking at what Frazier was able to do with Ali, and looked at what Foreman did to Frazier. Oh man!
Yeah. I mean, the math if you do the math, you go, it's George Foreman all day.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God! I was so worried, and you know, when Ali pulled that rope-a-dope and he won the fight, then I'm like, fuck, I'll never ever bet against. Well, I didn't bet against him. I never, you know, doubt him again. I'll never doubt you again, Ali. You did it again. And then to see what, who's the King Jab guy?
Larry Holmes.
Yes. What Larry Holmes did to him. Oh.
Yeah.
Ali was old. And
Yeah.
Larry Holmes had been a sparring partner of Ali at the time. You know, it was, man, that evolution of the 80s, the 70s through the 80s of boxing was really like, there's some really, really tough guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
Jerry Cooney.
Yep.
It's just like, wow. Like this big old white boy from, I think it was
He's from Long Island.
New York, yeah.
But then the guy, man, and then I believe the fighters back then are far better than the fighters in my 90s and these 2000s. I think these guys, these 80s fighters are far better. And you know, more to that is like they had to work their ass off to get in that position. And now, if you on YouTube, how you call that, Instagram, you got 100 million followers, 100,000 followers in 5 minutes because you knock one dude out. You got, and the dude is like, he's really nobody, you know. So I'm just like, I think those 80s heavyweights and they metalweights, gorillas, man. And I would, I have nothing but utmost respect for them and what they did for our sport. And and I see those, and I see my 90s guys I grew up with. I'm like, yeah, we're pretty close, but we're not as good. And I see these 2000 fighters. I'm like, what happened?
Damn. And that's from ex-2-time heavyweight champion of the world. Well, what's your era for heavyweights? Well, for fighters, period. We don't just keep it to heavyweights. Your favorite era?
My favorite. Well, let me also go back. I was scaredest for Tyson against Lewis, and for a good reason, it turned out.
Yeah.
I guess I just knew. I'm like, he's not going to beat him, but I was hoping he would. My favorite era. I wouldn't say the fighters aren't as good now. I think the evolution of nutrition. We talked about this. Of nutrition, of technique, of everything, just of human beings. I think the fighters now are probably better physically, maybe not mentally from back in the day, but I think they're probably better physically. My favorite era to watch was the 90s. Yeah. But 80s too. When you go into the Four Kings, Hearns, Hagler, Ray Leonard, all those guys. I mean, Duran. The heavyweight division in the most of the 80s was kind of dead until Tyson came around. But even with him, he didn't have any defining fights where people really challenged him.
Also, Tyson came and revolutionized the shit, right? And I mean, and it's very elementary. They put numbers on punches, so you couldn't, your coach normally be like, left hook, right hand, left hook, right hand. They changed that to 3-6.
Well, that was only for, Jeremy and I trained under Kevin Rooney, which has a very specific style. Right? He was one of the only ones that I knew of at the time that does, a 7 was a jab. So Kevin Rooney did that. Yeah, but not most fighters did the number system.
But I'm saying, but that era, that 90s era, like, that revolutionized boxing changed. It started changing from that. And people were like, oh shit, we can't just say left hook, right hand, left, stuff like that. People were starting setting up different combinations, different ways of calling out punches.
Right.
But before like everybody say throw a 1-2, which was in Cus D'Amato style of doing it. 1-2 wasn't that. 1-2 was
7-3.
It was 7-2,
7-3, something like that. I don't even remember. It's been so long.
It was a 7-1.
7-1. That might be
7-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that. You heard something. Shit, I didn't know.
And then we watching the Tyson fights, and you see Kevin Rooney, 5-3 or 2-4, and then and we like,
what the fuck? Yeah.
And then Mike's going, boom, hitting people with shit. Damn.
And it's smart because as a fighter, I've been in there with people that I'm sparring or actually fighting, and you hear the trainer yell out, dude, go up top and then throw a hook to the body. And I'm like, I hear you. You don't think I'm going to look for that now? You ever do that too, Jeremy? When somebody's like, I hear what you're saying, and the guys will do it, and I'll fucking make them pay for it. So that was a way of disguising. 7-2 is like, what the fuck's that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
7-2 is a jab, right hand.
Yeah.
Man, that's
because we train at the same place in New York and under the Cus D'Amato style.
Right.
So we know the numbers, and it made like perfect sense, like duh.
But I think it is to disguise. That makes me.
And it's 100% to disguise what you're doing in front of people. If you say 1-2, like 1-2, you know what a 1-2 is.
Yeah, everybody.
To us, a 1-2 is a 7, whatever.
Yeah.
Damn. So, yes, let's talk a little bit more about Cus. I know him and Ali had a little friendly. They used to go back and forth on things. What heavyweight? Now it's probably more your style. That Cus trained, that Ali fought and gave a nickname to.
Well, the only one that Cus trained that Ali fought, I think, was Patterson.
You think? You're right.
Okay.
And what was the nickname that Ali gave Patterson?
Great question. He hated him because he kept calling him Clay. Patterson kept calling him Clay. Refused to call him Muhammad Ali. What did he call him? He didn't call him Uncle Tom, did he?
Nope. He did call somebody that, but not Patterson.
That's a good
You got me. Tell us.
The Rabbit.
The rabbit.
Yeah.
Why?
I remember that.
Fucking running, ducking in holes, and they call him the rabbit, man. Yeah,
I do remember
yeah.
that.
Call him
Yeah. I never understood Floyd Patterson's greatness. I never thought he was that good, personally.
Well, it's good enough to win the title
Sure.
as an undersized heavyweight.
Undersized.
Yeah, he's an
If
undersized
you
heavyweight.
look at Floyd Patterson, he's doing the Cus D'Amato style, but as a taller guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's the same freaking thing within perimeters. It's the same. It's the same as Tyson, Floyd Patterson, same. But and if you see it, you'll be like, oh shit, it is. Yeah, obviously there are different people that have different ways of doing it, but it's the same freaking thing.
Yeah.
And it worked for
It worked for
Floyd.
him, man. But when I met Marco back in the '90s, we were upstate New York, and you know every Tyson thing. So my dad was like, "Hey, you go train, go learn the Tyson."
And now a little back, Tyson was in prison at this time. It was '92, so he wasn't there. He was in prison. He had separated from Kevin. So just put it in context.
Okay, so then like when I got to the camp, and then like I realized like this is it. Like
Yeah.
Kevin Rooney knows nothing else but this.
And there was no, he didn't improvise much, right? It was very cookie cutout template, do that. You know what I mean? And I don't think a fighter can grow. And also that style is not meant for a taller fighter or a slick boxer. Now Jeremy could punch, but he could also box. Even me, I'm 5'11". At the time, I was tall for middleweight at the time. You know what I mean? You were, so it's a tough style. You have to be very aggressive. A lot more energy, right, to do that style. Constantly coming forward. Constantly,
man.
A lot more dangerous.
You're always
Yep,
moving.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like what's that thing? Like the thing with the music where it goes click. click,
Yes.
click.
Yeah,
You're doing this
Now
the
for
whole
Tyson it worked because he was able to get low and come up with the power, right? But a taller fighter who's doing that like you,
Right, me,
it's tougher.
I learned Tyson. I'm gonna call it Tyson style. But it's really customized. I learned it in 3 months. I mastered it in 6 months. In 7 months, I was like, Kevin, this is it. Nothing else.
Yeah.
No, you do that. You hit this guy. I can. My original style was Muhammad Ali style. Everybody was. I was boxing like my dad taught me the Muhammad Ali boxing style. We were moving around, dancing, shooting jabs, long right hands, and then the evolution of me. And I started to find out who I was. I was a boxer puncher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 88, 89% knockout ratio. And when I went to Tyson's camp or Cus D'Amato's camp, it was like stepping back in time. Like it was like after I learned this, I was like, okay, what else? I remember we went to Ray Mancini.
Boom, boom.
Boom Boom, right? Who is a phenomenal athlete, a guy who I feel like, and I tell this for boxers, is a guy who can play boxing. He can box, play basketball, play baseball, play football, play soccer. Like he's an athlete. And I saw Kevin Rooney, and I'm like 20, teaching Ray Mancini the same style. I was like, that makes no sense, right? Because Ray Mancini's not that guy. But then, as I got older and I left and I was like, that's all he knows. Hey, I'm not knocking him for it, but, if this is what you want to do, this Kevin Rooney's the guy you go to. My talent level was so much more than that. And the people that were around me were all heavily endorsing that Cus D'Amato style. And everybody was in love with Tyson style. Took the world over.
Yeah, Tyson. He was, Tyson was a good sales. He was a good salesman for that style. I mean, if you look at his success, the success he had with it.
Hasim Rahman was in our camp as an amateur, and I mean, at the time he's 6'3", 250 or whatever. He was a huge heavyweight for the time. You can't be bobbing him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so he didn't stay with Kevin. Obviously, he passed maybe a couple years. But yeah, so It's a very, as Jeremy's saying, it's a very specific style for a specific body type.
What did we have? Side note, we're in camp. We're both in camp up in New York, in upstate New York, and there's this really nice, sweet, older white woman. Knows the Tyson style like the back of her hand.
No shit.
Nadia, he's referring to.
Nadia couldn't fight to save her life, but she could do that shit perfectly.
No shit.
Man, she's a really sweet lady.
She used to help him out. She used to be in the gym and help him train. She was actually working one of my corners, one of my amateur fights when I was up there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But could do it, but like awkward and stiff and whatever, because she's not a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But she could do everything.
No shit.
True.
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
She
kudos
could
to
be
her.
Yeah, good as her.
Yeah.
She's still around. She's still
I have no idea.
She was old when we was young, and now we're old.
She wasn't even older. She just looked older. That's
She's
it.
not old.
Oh,
She's
damn.
probably in her 30s back then, yeah.
If you watching this, they said the shit, not me.
He said it.
What happened was my girl paid me to say that because you know it costs a lot of money to talk about people.
Greatest, because you describe yourself as a boxer puncher.
Right.
Greatest boxer puncher on your list. Number one.
Wow.
You got his fucking shirt on, man. What do you mean? Wow.
Yeah.
You're
right.
You're stuttering
You're
and
right.
shit.
You're right. I was thinking
Open
Ali
mouth.
too, but I think Ray Leonard,
Boxer
Ray
puncher, man.
Ali was Ali was a
Robinson
boxer.
definitely was a harder puncher pound for pound than Ali was. Yeah, Ray Robinson. Easy.
I'm gonna go with John the Beast Mugabe.
What?
John the Beast Mugabe.
Okay.
The one that I mistakenly said fought Hearns.
Hearns was a boxer puncher
Yeah.
Yes, he was when he wanted to be.
when he wanted to be.
When
Yep.
he wanted, but he would walk people down straight away. And if you couldn't take it, he'd stay on you like that.
Ray Leonard too could be considered, although he hit hard. People don't talk about his pound. He hit hard. Ray Leonard could have won too.
Yeah, he did hit pretty darn hard.
Yeah.
But number one, all time, Jeremy been smoking that shit again.
I got a wacky tobacco.
Sugar Ray Robinson, not Leonard. Sugar Ray Robinson on my list. It's the body of work, man.
Well,
120 knockouts.
hold on a second. I totally forgot.
120.
120 knockouts.
There is one person that is
Oh
above
shit!
Sugar
Now
Ray
you finna
Robinson.
fuck up now,
Now
Marco.
There is one
You
person
finna fuck
that is
up.
above Sugar Ray Robinson.
You been smoking that same shit, Jeremy. You been smoking puff pass. Now what the fuck? You finna fuck up? Who?
Roy Jones Jr.
This guy, Roy Jones pocket.
Dang.
He got Roy Jones in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Every time.
Oh, every time I talk about
Yep. Roy Jones
Jones.
too. Yeah. Now look.
Like, we say, what happened? Hold on.
Roy Jones
Roy Jones.
falls in every category you could think of, except maybe defense. You know, he didn't have to have that great defense because he was such a good offensively, but everything else, he's number one, in my opinion.
Hey, Roy Jones, talented athlete, but
Speed,
Yes.
power is good. It's not, you know,
questionable.
there's harder, no, not questionable.
it's questionable.
Virgil Hill fight, Montel Griffin 2. I mean, I could keep going. He's not
What happened?
people out
What happened?
cold.
What happened?
And these are one
Montel
punches.
won?
Huh?
What happened at Montel Griffin won?
Montel Griffin won.
first fight.
Roy was having a tough time, and I think he did it to himself because you saw in the rematch. So we talked to Roy,
We're
right?
not talking about the rematch. We're talking about
The
the
first
match.
fight, Roy goes, I feel like, and Roy said this, Roy was getting bored at that point because he was beating people so easily, so he started to come up with things to do in the fights to challenge himself. Now, I know that sounds like what a fan would say about somebody they like, but I think it's true.
Tarver. Go right ahead. Excuse me. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't mean to interrupt. Tarver.
What's
Excuse me.
what's his first name?
Antonio.
All right, you know what?
The Magic Man.
Roy Jones with Griffin was trying to because Griffin was a counterpuncher. So Roy goes, look, I'm going to let Griffin, I'm going to feint and let Griffin try and counter me, and I'm going to counter his counter, which I thought was a weird, complicated, and that's, I think, what gave him problems, because in the rematch, he just went right at him, and we saw the difference. Tarver, that was fucked up. In my opinion, Roy was 34 years old, boxing since he was 6.
We all boxers.
No, we all. No, we don't.
Yeah.
You.
Him?
You had 300 fights. That's not normal.
Yeah, it's pretty normal.
300. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not at all. 100 maybe, and we talked to a lot of world champions that had 50 fights. Well, Hasim Rahman, 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, he had 40 amateur fights, tops. He turned pro. He started boxing at 20, way less mileage on him. So by 34, he's fresh. Roy Jones by 34 is not fresh. And I know, again, it could be an excuse people use to defend their favorite fighters. But
sounds like you're using it.
But I know it. I know it's true because I've seen fighters who start young, and there's just, now there's exceptions like Hopkins. There's exceptions who get better with age, but most of them, CT, you remember back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 30, you're washed up, you're done. Fighters at 30 were old, they're finished. That was the perception, and most fighters retired, 30, 31, 32, they were finished. Even Roy, before he lost to Tarver, he was going to retire after Ruiz. He goes, I'm either fighting Mike Tyson next or I'm done. Ended up not being done, but even he knew that the end was coming. So, you can't take away from somebody who dominated 15 years the way he did, and then it goes from 100 to 0, and and then he looked like a totally different fighter. There's clearly something there, in my opinion.
I concur that Roy is one of the greatest boxer punchers. I concur that he's one of, but to put him over Sugar Ray Robinson, you have got to be high as fuck, Marco.
I might be.
Ray Robinson shirt on.
Yeah, you see him with a Ray Robinson shirt on.
They don't sell Roy Jones.
Yes, they do.
For a reason.
Yes, they do. eBay like a motherfucker. They got all kind of Roy Jones shirts on.
Ray Robinson's resume was, you can't argue with that. But then, you can't argue with that. And they fought way more frequently. And being 128-1, you're right. That's incredible. Willie Pep at one point.
Yeah, that was just, his knockout. But he had over 200 fights. That was just his knockout, over 120 knockouts. But the man had 212 fights,
Well,
I think. Yeah.
No, but at the peak of his career, I think he was 128-1.
Yeah, right.
The one
exactly.
loss was to, what's his face? Jake LaMotta, who he beat 5 times.
Yeah, 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Yep, we sure did.
So that's incredible.
Do you think, like these older fighters that had so many more fights, but like the mental capacity, like were they slurring? Did they have troubled speech? Did they have delayed speech?
So that's so funny. I've been looking up, I don't know if you've done it, I've been looking up a lot of these older fighters, seeing Jack Dempsey talk when he was 60. They were all crystal clear.
Yep.
Yet those guys fought so much more frequently.
Yeah, it
wonder why.
depends on the fighter. It depends on the fighter. I mean, some fighters nowadays with a lot less fights, you can hardly understand what they're saying. And I ain't naming no names, but it's,
That said, like I have my short-term memory
Shot.
gone.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't no fighter, and so is mine, so don't worry about that shit.
No, but seriously.
I don't know what the fuck I did yesterday.
I was no bullshit. I went to Kaiser. I forgot one day. What did I go to Kaiser? Friday. I went to Kaiser Friday. Spent 3.5 hours in Kaiser. Left there and was like, where the fuck am I coming from?
No shit.
Yeah, his short-term memory is pretty bad.
And
it's developed over the past 5 or 6 years like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm seriously, like, I was like, where the hell did I just come from?
Damn.
And then eventually, like, but I'm saying eventually, like 30, 40 minutes later.
Yeah, no, it happens a lot. Like when we do our podcast, I got to remind them constantly during the day. Like we got one. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well,
my girl, she writes me, she's like, you're gonna do this, do that, and do this.
Yeah, that's my wife's the same way. I'm like, I
we do
don't know what the fuck
Yeah, right. Because like on the other side of that is like I run a business, I have a security company, and like I know where everybody is, right? It's crazy. But like for things that like little stuff for myself,
I forgot my own middle name.
Ali.
Man, I remember it now. But the one my mother gave me, I forgot that motherfucker for a whole day, and it was killing me. I could not remember my middle name. And this shit was, what the fuck is my middle name all day? And I didn't want to ask nobody, because they think I'm stupid as fuck, and they'd be right. But I'm like, what the fuck is my middle name?
I think generally with boxing, you don't see memory loss usually. You see more slurred words. That's more punch drunk, what they call it, right? You see that more often. The memory thing, I don't think is as common. right?
I don't know.
Like you went through, didn't you go through speech therapy to?
Yeah, I went through. I get tested every year at the Cleveland Clinic in Las Vegas, and the progression, like I forget. I'm gonna make it up. Like your speech is at an 8, your memory is like at a 6, your coordination is at a 10. So then you go back the next year and they test you the whole same thing, and then you say, okay, your speech is at a 6.5 or 7. So you're moving up. Your memories are going so I'm moving because I'm not fighting, and then I'm doing things to keep my health. To be healthy. Like so, it is progressionary. I'm going back. Yeah, but and so everything that's a movement. But ideally, like where I'm at, I'm 49 years old, and I mean I look great, but like something like some little things. I do look good. Look at my girl. Look, she's beautiful. See that? It's like.
She got to say that shit, Jan. She ain't got no choice.
But this all comes back to my point where
My mom said I was beautiful. Of course.
I don't know my mom. I never met her. No, I'm just kidding. But that goes back to my point where, a lot of mileage is a lot of mileage, and people can peak out and be over the hill a lot younger than other people.
There's a lot of young fighters that we're doing a documentary about, speech delayed, and it's called labor speech. We're doing, and then they were doing a documentary on it, and I'm like, okay, I know I get lazy at night, so I start slurring or doing. But generally speaking, because I run a business, I have to be on top of my stuff.
Yep.
Right, and I gotta, if I'm doing a deal with you to secure your place, you don't want to hear somebody with church.
Yeah.
You want it. So for me, like I keep it on tech. But a lot of fighters, young fighters, man, I listen to them. God damn. Like my boy Rafael Relas, man, smart as fuck. I mean, brilliant.
You remember Rafael Relas, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hear him talk is very delayed and it's slurred. But the guy's freaking
Terry
brilliant.
Norris is another one.
Terry Norris?
Really?
Oh, he has a pretty strong slur. Yeah.
No shit.
And I think he's developing Parkinson's too.
Oh man.
Yeah. He's one of the bigger ones.
It's a big problem for our sport and for our sport, but also in football.
Yes. Big time.
I forget stuff all the time, and then write it down, put it on a piece of paper. So I'm always trying to write stuff down, put it on a piece of paper, so I see it, I grab it, look, but I write it down and I leave my house. Oh shit, left my paper in the house.
I just texted to my wife because I know she remember every motherfucking thing, but I don't remember shit. Now this I have to ask this. Somebody asked me the other day. Now I have flatlined 5 times. Been yes, clinically dead 5 times. Out of here, and I'm still here. But somebody asked me the other day if I had it to do all over again, or don't I wish that I was young and strong and healthy again? Don't I wish I could go back in time before all the heart problems, before all this things happened to me, life happened to me? And my answer is always, fuck no. I wouldn't change a thing, and I think that right now is, without a doubt, hands down, my favorite period of time. This is right now is absolutely, would I change the flat lines? Would I change or not having health problems? No, I wouldn't change them. Damn things, but that's what I want to ask you about. And you say, you 2-time heavyweight champion world, and you can't remember shit now, and you're old and ugly as a motherfucker. I want to know, would you change anything?
Yes.
I know the answer to this, but
I never wanted to be a boxer.
Damn.
My father made me box. My dad buys a bag, right? Puts it up, let's hit it, right? And my sister hit it, we all like, cause it's a bag, it's new, we like got it from Big 5 or something, we hit it, and then my sister hit it, my other sister hit it, and I hit it, and my dad said, hit it again, right? And he goes, I'm gonna make you a boxer. I said, I don't want to be a boxer. He said, I didn't ask you if you want to be a boxer. That's what you're gonna do. And it seemed like the next day in the gym. And then, so I'm dyslexic. Super smart guy, but dyslexic, reading and some.
Wait a minute, this motherfucker say smoking smart, handsome, and fucking
And smokes a lot of weed before these interviews.
high as fuck all the time.
Smoke weed.
I'm just bullshitting.
I did, but like, so like, see, forgot what I forgot.
You were gonna talk about
yeah, your
father
dad
you
made you
box.
do this
So,
shit.
like, I started boxing, and then like so I started like 6, 7, 8, whatever. You pick, I'll say yeah. So 6, 7 years old, I started boxing. I didn't get good until I was like 14 and a half, 15 years old.
So from 6, 7 to 14 was you getting your ass whooped.
Every other day, because there were so many fights come to YMCA. There'd be a lot of shows there.
Yeah.
All these little cities around Long Beach, there'll be boxing events every week.
Absolutely.
Every weekend.
Yep.
And then tournaments every few months. And so like I'd win. Let's say I would win 30%, lose 70%, right? And it's just because like I didn't. My dad would make me do it. And then once I got 15, I remember 14, I was at the Junior Olympics, and I'd never I'd never got into a big tournament before. The Junior Olympics, I was like, wow. I'm 14 years old, and I'm going to the national championships. And then I'm looking around like kids from everywhere, like Wisconsin, New York, Florida, Michigan, like wherever, like, to me,
This the big time, right? It made it to the big league.
Boxing was Long Beach and Compton.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of shows at the Compton YMCA and a lot of shows around the city, but I mean, that was boxing.
Yep.
It didn't get no bigger. I didn't know about USA Boxing or something. And so anyway, I go to this thing, I'm like, oh my God, there's people from everywhere. Every state in the country, there's people there. And they're the best in their state. And so, I fought the Junior Olympics the first time. I was 14 years old. I won the first fight. I was like, hell yeah. You're fighting again tomorrow.
What?
Oh, okay, and if I fight tomorrow, I lose. So the first year in the Junior Olympics at 14, I won one, I lost one. And then somewhere when I came home, my dad was like, you lost? What do you mean you lost? And I got angry. You could have won. Who'd you fight? I don't fucking know. Like, it was a VCR tape. They put the tape in. And my dad's like, look at this tape going, no, you should have done this. And I'm a kid. I'm like, and I'm crying. I didn't know. I don't know. I just was trying to box, and year 15, I'm 15 now, and I go back to the same tournament. I knock out everybody.
Man.
When I say knock out, I mean I knocked out everybody. I'm not talking about maybe sleep.
There's video proof of it.
Yeah.
Video proof, he found it too. He found it, sent it to me.
Damn.
Hey, you did. I was like, yeah, I told you I did. I knocked out everybody, and I won the national. I was 15 years old. National Golden Gloves champion. I'm sorry, not national junior Olympic national champion. And then the senior tournament. So once you go like 14, 15, there's like some age, like you hit 6 months, you're able to fight in all the senior tournaments. And then there was the U.S. national tournament. So like anywhere from 15 and a half to 32, you can fight anybody.
Dang.
And that tournament happened to be like a month or two after the Junior Olympics. I fought it. Beat everybody.
Damn.
So I was
15
a
after 32.
junior national champion.
Damn, kids against me.
I was 15, I fought a 25-year-old.
No shit.
And that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. I didn't think that was possible.
Oh, it is.
No shit.
You fight, I'm 15 years old, fighting dude who's in the army.
As long as you're in the same weight category, they didn't give a
Yeah,
fuck.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Wow.
You hit 15 and a half to 32, 36.
But I do remember going to one tournament, and Kevin, the guy that they matched me with, I was 16, the guy was like 24, Kevin's like, nah, he's too old. So you can choose to not do it, but legally, it's fair game.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was, and I won the national, so I was the junior national champion and the senior national champion in the same year, first time it ever happened. And then for me at that point, like, I didn't want to box, but I'm like, everybody's paying attention to me.
Yeah.
So why stop? Like fudge. So then I start winning everything. I won every I've won every major tournament in America.
Wow.
Twice.
Well, let me say,
And not wanting to box.
the one thing also that, besides not wanting to box, you never wanted to be heavyweight.
Never won a beer.
He was naturally a light heavyweight and maybe a cruiserweight. And we always talk about this. We think that he could have gone down as one of the greatest
greatest of all
cruiserweights ever,
times, yeah.
ever, literally, with his experience and
Yeah.
background. But at the time, he thought that not him, his father and management thought
Heavyweight is
that's where the money
yep,
is.
yep.
And I mean, I saw when I met him, he was 178 pounds. Literally, when we met 2 months later, he's 200. They're hiring nutritionists. They're doing all this shit, bulking him up. He's eating a lot. He's lifting weights. You know, and your punch carried over. But you know, those guys are just bigger guys. It's hard. It's hard when you're a smaller guy naturally.
But just
And remember, I'm fighting. So this is how I grew up in California. It was either black or white. You was either black
Yeah.
or white. And there was a few Mexicans, a few Asians, but really black or white. And my mother, rest in peace, said I would always fight the black guys, like the proper black guys, harder than I'd fight anybody else. And then I realized that I did that because
You trying to
that's
prove-
what gave me the most grief growing up. You know, and like I have no issues with anybody at this point in my life, or even younger. But you know, like I always fought dark-skinned black people harder than I fought anybody
And
else.
let's for people watching, his mother was 100% white. His father was 100% black. So that's what we're talking about here. So he's half half.
And when I growing up, it was only we were the only mixed people in town. Nowadays it's all over the place.
Yep.
And it's a great thing. But when I was a kid, it was just us and maybe one other family.
And they gave him a lot of grief,
Man.
especially the black folks, because he wasn't black enough. I already know this story, and you know, he was not black enough for them.
Mind you, I've known CT for 30 years.
Yeah,
Him and my father were friends.
big time. Yeah, Mr. Williams did, but I did not know that you didn't want to box. And Mr. Williams, I didn't know he was fortunate to box, but check this out. My dad was a preacher. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know it by looking at me, but my dad was a preacher, and as far as he was concerned, if I wasn't a preacher, I wasn't shit.
Oh.
And that is what made me, you know, I think kind of credited for making me who I am today. I resisted, you know, religion big time. I didn't want nothing to do with no religion.
You would be a potty mouth preacher.
Oh man, I
Praise the
I
fucking Lord.
Yeah, I agree. You know, but growing up in a super religious household, my dad trying to force me to be a preacher, forced me to be like him, made me so much hate, you know, wanting to be like, I wanted to be the exact opposite of being, you know, you can't, you know, sometimes I would fake it just to have a little peace in the house. I'm like, you pray today? Yes. Just got off my knees. Yeah, just got off my knees, and yes, praise the Lord.
Leave me alone.
But you know, I would, you know, I could, growing up in super religious, I could see what was going on in the church, and I could see my dad. You know, you're going to hell. You're terrible son. You're terrible this, and slapping my mama down. And see, I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, if this motherfucker make it to heaven, I ain't got to change shit. I'll probably be up there opening the door for this motherfucker. If this motherfucker make it to heaven, I ain't worried about nothing. Because I feel like, you know, if you can, you know, slap moms down, which my mother was like an angel to me. It's crazy. You know, and be this fucking mean. My dad was a mean dude. Just be that fucking mean for no goddamn reason. If you making it to heaven, shit, the standards must be mighty low. But it made, it made me, you know, it made me really hate organized religion and you know, and being around church people was falling out on Sundays and throwing up, you know, and then see them, you know, in the club and shit on the weekend and doing the same shit I'm doing. You know, I'm like, nah, you know, keep that. But it made me hate. So for you to, your dad forcing you to do it, it seems like that it would make you hate you know, because anything, I used to tell my mom, she's like, you know, but the Lord, my mother's very religious too, she's like, you know, but the good news, the Lord, you know, don't worry about this, you gotta love everybody, you gotta do this, you know, mom's always teach me the best, the right thing, love everybody equally, I don't care if, I said, well, Mama, what if they don't love me? I mean, what if they hate me, you know, just because of color of my skin? She said, especially
them.
Especially them, especially them, because I mean it's easy to love a motherfucker who love you back. Hey man, I love you, no problem, I love you too. But you love a motherfucker that can't stand your ass for no reason, damn, you doing something. Then that's something incredible right there. Hey, I'm loving these people, you know, like that. She said that's the kind of love that, you know, God requires of us. But I'm like, man, okay, Mom. But she said you gotta, you know, don't pay attention to your daddy and all this stuff. Just you gotta seek God for yourself. And she was the one that really, I still don't consider myself religious, but she was the one that really instilled, you know, faith in me. Yeah.
And, you know, and faith will take you a long way.
Ooh-wee.
You sitting in jail, you get faith. That faith will give you power, strength. You sitting, you know, in line, getting ready to, you know, go to, you know, get a, you know, track meet. Faith is gonna make you run faster, run stronger. In boxing, you have faith. Though, you know, I'm gonna fight harder. Whether you win or lose, your faith is gonna bring you another step over. Boxing for me truly was a way out of the city, because like I have been all over the world.
Yeah.
Russia, Germany, Puerto Rico. Like, I've been everywhere for free.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was box, and I do, you know, and like it made sense to me to see the world. I've been in the Vatican. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in the Vatican, like looking up at, you know, what's that famous painter that they paint on the ceiling?
Michelangelo.
I'm looking at this.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, that's it. Smart motherfucker.
I'm looking at this stuff, and the education that boxing gave me about people, about life, and about trust and faith, and it changed me so much.
See, for me, it was different. I grew up in Hell's Kitchen in the 80s.
People don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Hell's Kitchen's a neighborhood in Manhattan.
Although it's very famous.
Famous, yeah. It's near Midtown Manhattan on the west side. In the 80s and 90s, when I grew up, it was real fucked up. I had crackheads all over.
This is the Compton of New York.
Probably. We never really had gangs. Like here, you know, there was a couple gangs, but it was more like free-for-all. You know, your people robbing. It was real fucked up. So I started boxing because I was one of the only white boys in my neighborhood, in my schools. Like that's how it was. So they used to fuck with me for being white. But for the most part, there wasn't, believe it or not, there wasn't that much racism in where I grew up, because it was such a melting pot. I had Indian, Asian, everything in my class. So everybody was, but I started boxing because, you know, it was rough, and you didn't know how to fight, you were weak. And if you know how to fight well, then you were above weak, you were super strong, and people respected you. So I started getting a lot of respect once I started seeing that I had, you know, all the sports I played, boxing for some reason just came the most natural to me, by far. I love basketball, you probably remember that, but I wasn't that good at it. But boxing was real easy for me. So that's why I started fighting. You know, but I never went in it as hard as Jeremy, because I found it very emotionally draining to fight for me personally. Like, you know, when I'd be done with one fight, like he was saying, you have one fight and then they're like, oh, you're fighting tomorrow. For me, I couldn't do that. I'll have one, then I need to rest because it's too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I never did it. And also, honestly, like when I'd be in the gym and let's say I'd have a session where I got touched up too much, I would want to rest my body and my brain for a few days. And if you're competing, you can't do that shit. You got to be in the gym the next day. So to me, I chose me first, but I still did it on and off for whatever it was, 30 years. So I'm glad I did it. I used to regret not going further, not really, you know, buckling down and going real far with it. But now as I'm getting older and actually as what we're doing, and I'm talking to fighters and seeing how a lot of their lives ended up, and I don't mean you, but I'm kind of glad I chose what I did. You know what I mean? Like,
well, how many amateur fights did you have, Marco?
Oh, man. Not many, 5, 10. Even though, you know, but I've been in the gyms, you know, since '92. I've been sparring, you know, world champions. I'm a gym rat. So I have a lot of experience, but on paper fights, yeah, handful of amateur fights, one pro fight, but a lot of sparring, a lot of being around people who, you know, the highest level.
Yeah, so, and on the other side of that is, I got 300 amateur fights, 50 professional fights, and would give it all up for something else.
Really?
Yep.
What's that something else?
Well, I love owning my own business. I love being able to fix problems. You know, like I tell my staff, I own the business, I don't run it. I have this really, really good girl. She runs my business. She does a great job, and all I do is cherry pick the problems. There's a problem here, I'll fix it. Boom. Just fix problems, you know. And for me, that is the best way for me to do it. You know, because she does it better than I do. So, I'm here. Like in boxing, so if he does it better than I do, I just get beat. In business, you do it better than I do, then you work for me. And you do it.
It's a young man's sport, it really is. I don't care what people say, and not even physically, but mentally. Because I think we'll all agree you have a lot more anger and a lot more energy when you're younger.
Yeah.
When you're in your 30s and 40s, I mean, the last thing I want to do is, I'm not, you know, you're not always just keyed up. You know what I mean?
Which is because I got this exhibition against James Toney at the end of this month, and I'm training for it. And I'm like, man, I train 6, 8 rounds, 10. And I'll be in shape, but it's like people say, "What are you gonna do to James Toney?" I'm like, dude, that's James Toney, 19-time world champion. Like, I can't do nothing to him. He ain't never been done to him before. Hey, I mean, dude is a master defensive specialist.
That being said, you guys sparred many rounds.
And we sparred
about 10
many
years ago, they sparred a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like, I'm not trying. I don't need to be embarrassed or embarrass somebody. Like, Holyfield got embarrassed the other night. I'm like, what the fuck? Y'all didn't have a conversation? You didn't talk about this? You didn't meet each other? Hey, how you doing? Or whatever. Like, Holyfield is a legend in our sport.
Absolutely.
Like, world champion multiple times. Like, and some 40-year-old MMA guy or 50-year-old,
He
whatever.
was 40.
40, like
40 something.
Which is
Yeah.
a big difference between 40 and 58, as we saw.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Holyfield like a monster.
Yeah.
And this guy disrespected my sport, our sport, with doing that shit.
I gotta say though, I don't really agree fully because I think Holyfield does have culpability. He chose to do this. You know what I mean? Like, I agree the guy whooped his ass and maybe the guy shouldn't have, but Holyfield also maybe, you know what I mean? There should have been some, he's not like he's a mute. You know what I mean? He could have, before going in saying, look, how are we doing this? Or he chose to be there is what I'm saying.
I get that, and yes, but you know, we're not dealing with somebody in the right capacity. He's been fighting for 40, 50 years.
That's a good point.
You
That's
know,
a good point.
he
And also-
might not be thinking about that part. Sorry, go ahead.
No, also, I hated to see it because I think that Holyfield took the fight out of necessity.
You mean financial necessity?
Yes,
That's a good point.
financial necessity. I mean, he needed the bucks,
Yeah.
and I hate that he needed the bucks bad enough to do that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know, I think that he needed the money bad enough that because I heard him talking about how he had a lot of money, very generous guy. People take advantage of him, and don't have so much money anymore. And out of necessity, you know, hey, here Holyfield, because of your name, we're going to give you. But yeah, but you know, I also want to say that I think he looked fantastic. I thought he looked like he was
looked
in.
great.
Yeah, for a 58-year-old dude to look that good, you know, is an accomplishment. And I think Holyfield, I think you do really well selling your fitness routines and how you got in that kind of shape. And you know, I think that's an avenue that you should take a look at, man, because he looked fantastic.
Yeah, he did.
Physically.
And it was surprising because that's a man who almost never got hurt when he fought, and he got hurt so quickly, so easily now. Stump, you know what I mean? So quickly, and that's not who he was. So
Yeah, I think
it shocked a lot of people.
overall, it was just such an ugly look for what happened, what we're trying to do in our sport now. Like, I'm moving around with James Toney. I say moving around because I'm not gonna fight him. We'll be in the ring fighting, but I'm having fun. We're gonna go 6 rounds. At the end of the day, I'm gonna shake his hand, shake my hand, give him a hug, and I ain't trying to.
But he's also not 20 years older than you. You guys are about the same age.
Yeah, but still, like it's we're fighting.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? Like at the end of the day, he's got a family, I got a family, and and I want you to go home to yours, and I want to go home to mine. And I don't want to have big old black eyes and stuff.
Okay, now, Eric, now, you can film this, but you might want to edit this out. So I'm from the now, Jeremy, you can't be telling motherfuckers that before the fight. Because they buying the motherfucking fight to see you not
This is why he's a successful
James
businessman.
Tony the fuck out. And if they know going into the fight that you have no intentions of hurting James Tony, or even if you like, I don't want to knock him out or anything, motherfuckers gonna be like, well, shit, I don't want to pay money to see no sparring session.
ESPN, you don't have to pay money.
Oh, it's free?
Yeah.
You still want viewership.
But on the other side of that,
No, you got to subscribe to
bad
ESPN.
motherfucker.
You got to subscribe to ESPN.
I am going to touch him up with
Respect. Whoop his ass with respect.
Now, see, I can go along with that. When we tell motherfuckers that, because if I had known, and that's what happened in a few of the pay-per-view fights with guys, like I don't want to, I'm like, motherfucker, I paid $70, and I don't want to pay $70 for no fucking sparring
I
session.
watched that one at your house, but at my house.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. I was like, I think I hit you up, and I was like, oh shit, he got the fight.
Yeah, and Instagram banned me for doing that shit,
Word?
man.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't go live no more for a while. Because somebody squealed on me. Yeah, I can't.
They don't even give you a warning. Sorry, no. They don't even give you a warning.
No, they ain't give me no fucking warning, man. So now you violated our policy. And that's the only thing I can think of that because the only thing I go live for is filming my son and grandson in the backyard and shit.
Oh, so you don't know if it's that, you're assuming.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but I mean,
Well, if the only thing other than that is filming his kids.
Yeah.
We all do. It's part of that.
The only thing I put, the main event, I'm like, fuck it, and I mean, I get 5,000-6,000 people on the live tape. Went up to 12,000. Normally I get 400-500, 1,300, so like. But for this, I had a whole lot of people watching this.
I was like, shit. But it was a fucking pansy ass fight.
It was the Jake Paul fight or something like that, right?
Was it Jake Paul? I think that was the last
Yeah,
one,
something
man. Main event. I'm like, man, I'm paying you and I also put one of the GOATs, undefeated, Mayweather. Mayweather, his last fight against the Paul brother, I viewed that shit had that shit for free. And I was pissed at that fucking fight. I'm gonna tell you, shit made me mad.
Mayweather fight.
Yes.
Why?
Because Mayweather could have whooped this motherfucker. I wanted
that. I don't give a damn what color, white, black, purple. Mayweather should have stopped his ass.
Should have, but he
is
didn't.
Mayweather.
And you know what I say about that?
Can I finish
Size.
the way you talking
can I
is
finish
you
my
think that
statement?
he couldn't have.
No.
Let me finish my
I
statement.
don't think he could have.
My statement
I'll
is,
explain.
if Mayweather is represented in our sport as the GOAT of all times, per people's opinion, he should have stopped that motherfucking round.
I disagree.
Done.
You know why? He's a GOAT of all time in boxing. Fighting somebody.
Well, what was they doing? They wasn't
I'll tell
playing
you right now, though.
basketball,
I'll tell you right
Barco.
now, boxing has rules.
It wasn't doing comedy
Boxing
shows.
has rules, right?
Yes.
There's weight divisions. He's fighting somebody who's 200 pounds and 6'2". That would never happen if he
actually
was actually
190.
boxing. So when you start doing goofy shit like that, which isn't actual boxing, it's technically boxing, but it's outside the scope of the rules. Somebody uses their size, holds him. Technically he would have been disqualified for holding if it was a real fight, right? But he didn't. Bam, bam, hold him. Bam, bam, hold him. What's Mayweather gonna do? The guy's so much bigger. That's what happens when you do that goofy shit.
So
I think Mayweather needed the money. Why the fuck else would he be taking this fight?
Mayweather don't need no goddamn money.
Really?
Hell no.
Mayweather's had IRS problems. Mayweather is always flashing all the gambling he does. Everybody knows that gambling is, you're always going to lose at the end of the day with gambling.
Okay, but what makes you think he needs money?
Because he had IRS problems, because he always does his shit and because he took this fight. Why? Let me ask you a question, both of you guys. Let's say you had Mayweather's career, undefeated, and you've made $1 billion over here. He's grossed $1 billion, right? Would you fight this goofy fuck for $200 million when you already, this is the most important part, already made $1 billion? So financial should not be an issue. Would you fight him if it's not just for the money?
Hell yes. And I'm gonna tell you why. The same reason, it's a fucking easy payday.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody gonna give you $200 million for an easy payday.
At the risk of looking bad because you're fighting somebody so much bigger than you and unexperienced. So it's a lose-lose because if this dude doesn't.
Okay, so
No?
here's a side question. You, Marco, who boxed basically 30 years of your life, walk down the street and some cat a little bigger than you, a little taller than you, and he hits Tia, his wife. You hit your wife.
He's getting laid out.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
he's bigger. He's out
he's
your
bigger
weight
than you.
class,
No,
Marco.
I don't have a. It's not
He's
being
out your
televised
weight
on
class,
pay-per-view
Marco.
though.
matter.
He's out your weight class,
That doesn't
Marco.
matter.
He's bigger.
No.
He's bigger.
You
He's
see, there's a
younger.
difference
He's
between a
strong.
street fight and an actual agreed to upon fight,
Well,
and
will
defending
you
your
box
wife.
him or will you kick him? Will
What?
you punch him in the face or would you kick him?
Do you understand what I'm
I
saying,
just
though?
asked you a question.
I don't know. I don't kick.
Well, okay, so you would punch him.
Yeah.
So it's basically boxing.
It's a street fight, not an agreed upon fight on pay-per-view that everybody's watching. This is defending somebody. That's a big difference. Defending your wife or your loved one, way different.
Nah.
You don't think? Way different.
You still hit him, right?
I'd hit somebody if I'm defending my family, but I wouldn't sign to fight somebody if I'm 50-0 and have a legacy and have all this money.
You wouldn't?
Nah, I wouldn't have fought him.
I know you got a billion. There's 200
I wouldn't have
million.
fought. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have done it.
for nothing.
I wouldn't have done
For
it.
nothing.
6 minutes.
I would rather take my name because his name has so much power and make money some other way.
Which he does. He's guys making money at plenty of different clubs. and
you
stuff.
know what?
But look, yes, the size different. Yes, okay, I understand the size. But this, you're talking like you said. Somebody said boxing is their life.
Right.
From a kid, his dad, his uncle.
Yeah.
From boxing is their life. So a guy's been doing it, what, 2-3 years?
Barely. Yeah.
Yeah, 2-3 years
Man,
boxing.
Knock the
They will
I'm
not.
not gonna fight you because
No.
you're his size.
But he thought that his size and stuff was in his youth was going to be the difference. Mayweather damn near knocked the dude out. To me, unintentionally, because he wasn't even trying to. He's all right. Well, we're gonna, I just want to make a little fun. There was why not take the money? There's no risk. If that motherfucker had been talking like that before the fucking fight, I wouldn't have paid my fucking money to see the fucking. I don't want to see no fucking sparring session. You are representing boxing, motherfucker. You are holding up the banner for real boxing. This is real. This is a real boxer against not even a good amateur. This is a real boxer, seasoned boxer, highest caliber boxer versus a pug, versus somebody who just.
If you want to be recognized as the GOAT, you do not let lambs live with you.
And that size difference to me was totally negated because of the experience. Who this boxer happens to be. Just negated all that.
That's what you would have thought, but the fight didn't look that way. He couldn't. When he fought McGregor, right, first few rounds, Mayweather, he played around, and then at one point, put the earmuffs on, started walking him down, and the fight was over a couple rounds later.
Which is exactly what the fuck he should have did.
He tried to do that if you watch the fight, and Homeboy was just like this, boop, boop. Try to jab him, hold him, lean on him, and Mayweather just couldn't. Mayweather at the end said the same thing. He's like,
the
he held a
experience
lot.
level of Mayweather should have been able to circumvent all of that.
It should have, but it wasn't, and that's exactly why I wouldn't have even taken that fight. Because it's like I don't even want to. It's a goofy shit. It's goofy, and like I care more about personally about a legacy and about respecting the sport. Because to me, it's a little disrespectful.
200 million and like 200 million, not $200.
Hopefully, it doesn't take somebody like Holyfield next time at that level getting seriously hurt for this shit to stop.
You know what I mean? They're gonna put brakes on people.
Because this shit should stop. I think it's goofy. It's fun if people are in the same experience bracket, but when they're not, or age
slap
or
the shit out of James Tony. You ain't got to worry about.
well, you guys are in the same experience bracket.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I'm not, you know, that's a proper exhibition.
He's never been properly stopped.
Never.
I
No, he's never been stopped at all.
I plan to do my best to do my
that?
duty
Now you got him fired
to
up.
God and my country.
Now, see, I'll fucking buy that.
Yeah.
Right? No, I ain't buying no sparring
If anybody
session.
can
Fuck
stop
that.
James Toney, it is him.
I'm beat the brakes off that mother.
So are you gonna be half man, half amazing, or Jaws?
I'll be Jaws.
I want you to pick a goddamn nickname and stick with that
I'll
motherfucker.
bite that motherfucker.
Stick with the shit. You half man, half amazing. Always go now you
Who
Jaws.
was the basketball dude back in the day?
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
Ooh,
Remember Vince Carter?
of course.
I was at home watching a basketball game, and somebody said, half man, half amazing, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Bam, got it.
yep.
'Cause I had no nickname at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, fuck, I'm gonna use that. And initially, I thought I was joking. And I told Michael Buffer, I said, hey, Mike, write half man, half amazing for me. And he said, is that what you want? And I was like, gotcha. Jokingly.
Mm-hmm.
But he did it.
It's stuck.
It stuck.
Yep.
I was like, cause you know, like when I was a kid, I was like Little Ali. I was like fast gold. You know, I had all kind of little bullshit ass names, and so I never really knew where I was gonna sit. You know, people say, "Oh, that Little Ali. That's what you should call him." I used to box like Ali when I was a kid.
Because your dad loved Ali?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I know this is your show. We're in your lion's den, but I'm gonna ask you a question. Maybe all three of us. Top 3 greatest fighters of all time. Now, before we do this, I've come to learn that there's pretty much 2 different ways people look at the greatest fighters of all time, in their opinion. Either their entire career as a whole, or just the prime. Because as we talked about, a lot of fighters keep fighting past their prime, and you shouldn't really count that. At least I don't, because that's, you know, I look at it like if you take this fighter in his prime and match him against anybody else, or so. Would you want to look at it as prime or his whole career?
I always look at his whole career.
You look at the whole career. What about you?
I look at the whole career.
Okay, so once again, I'm in the minority here. It's fucked up. What about you?
Whole career.
I like her.
Got one. Got one.
You have to say, okay, so, all right, so I'll do whole career as well, and I'll do prime. I'll do both. CT, why don't you?
Without a doubt, hands down, I don't have to think about it. Number 1 is Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
And when I consider whole career, I mean inside and outside the ring.
See, okay, there's another one. We're talking about boxing, so in my opinion, it should just stay in the ring. You look at outside the ring, yeah, nobody matches Ali.
Yep. At least
guys look
at least we
outside.
agree with that.
No, absolutely. No, he said
Yeah.
he was the most famous person in the world for his whole life, pretty much, right?
Absolutely.
But when you're talking about boxing, shouldn't it just stick to what the fighters have done in the ring, or no?
Well, you can't disassociate Ali from boxing. I mean, when you speak Ali,
synonymous.
yeah, you just cannot. Well, you know, this. I understand what you're saying, and I think, you know, if I just stuck to in the ring, I would have Sugar Ray Robinson.
Over Ali.
Yes, over Ali, and you know that's hard for me to say because Ali is my boy. But just in the ring, my number 1 would be Sugar Ray Robinson because he could do everything.
Okay.
He could box, he could punch, and he could fucking slug if necessary. He could do it all. He was if necessary a one-headed quitter, and then he could outbox you. If that didn't work, he'd outbox you. He could do it all. His footwork, his hand speed, power. He had all. For me, Sugar Ray Robinson would be number 1 inside the ring. But just greatest boxers overall, everything considered, Muhammad Ali.
And now what about prime?
A prime.
Greatest in their prime.
Woo-wee.
Come on,
Look,
do it. Say it.
you know, before Ali was robbed of his years, you know, for 4 years in prison, he was untouchable, man. He was untouchable. I mean, his defense was like to take from Mike Tyson. It was impregnable.
Impregnable,
I'm
yeah.
impetuous. I'm impregnable. You can't fucking touch me. I'm the greatest of all time. Man. He was. You know, it was just. It was unbelievable how quick that guy was, how fast that guy was, and what he brought. When he changed the whole how heavyweights. I mean, no other heavyweight in the history of heavyweight boxers that was like Muhammad Ali. I mean,
true.
there was some that tried to imitate him, but unsuccessfully. I mean, semi-successfully.
Right.
But
Holmes.
yeah,
Ish.
and there was another guy even before him that was a former training partner of Ali's that was, during his era, and I think he won the heavyweight title for a small period of time. Come on, who is it, Marco? You don't remember? Jimmy Ellis.
Ellis.
Yeah, Jimmy Ellis. He had the title for a short period of time. He tried to emulate Ali's style, but he was no Ali.
So you would do prime also Ali.
Prime Ali, yes. After those, who knows what those years that were taken away from him for standing up to the United States government and saying, fuck y'all, I ain't going to Vietnam, which also put him on the greatest of all time list for me. A black dude standing up against the whole entire government and saying, fuck y'all, I ain't gonna do this shit because it's against my principles, against my rules. I'm not going over there and kill a whole bunch of people that ain't never be caught. Hands down, I'm a little kid in Compton and I'm seeing some shit like that. I'm like, this motherfucker is the greatest of all times. No question about it, hands down. Like I said, I changed my middle name to Ali because of that. Dude.
Okay. And Jeremy, what are your three? Prime first.
Prime. Marvelous.
Yeah.
Marvin
His whole career was his prime because he quit right when he should have.
Hagler. He done what he was. Oh, you what? You took the fight? Thank you, bye.
So then also whole career, would you say
Whole
Hagler?
career, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. And then what about overall, like just including what they've done outside the ring, everything, not just their boxing?
Well, this guy in our country has done probably nothing. But Julio Cesar Chavez, fucking
Yeah, that's a good point.
beast.
Meldrick Taylor.
Meldrick Taylor was the only.
One round.
Wait, what? Wait, what did you say? He
finna
has a
have
heart
a-
condition. What are you doing?
What the fuck?
Wait, what did you just say?
He said Meldrick Taylor won one round.
Meldrick Taylor won one round.
Ish.
Take him back to Kaiser as soon as you can.
Yeah, I just had my blood drawn, man.
Do you really believe Meldrick Taylor won one
No,
round?
good.
Jeremy, are you fucking with us or you believe that?
No, I thought that fight was a great fight. But I'm saying, you said overall.
Because
So dude, that was like.
no, he was huge.
Huge.
Right, not in America
I'm
as
saying, like,
much.
Not American, but the fucking dude can fight, man.
Oh, no, there's no question about that.
Yeah, I told it was like him or Roberto Duran or Alexis Arguello, those guys are fucking animals.
Yeah, no question
Yeah,
about it.
I mean-
but I do think that Meldrick Taylor won the
No,
fight.
of course.
Oh, he definitely won that fight. Chavez lost twice in his prime, I would say. Frankie Randall and Taylor should have been a loss. Randall was a loss twice. That's not bad. Being 100, it would have been 102.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's damn good.
And the guy is like this tall.
Yeah.
But the weird thing about
Punch like a fucking truck. And then think about this, like, and this is what I think about because I'm a fighter. I'm like, he's in the fight, changing up, or he's working so hard he makes you change to fight him. He breaks you out of what you're okay. I've been in camp for 6 weeks training for Chavez like this, and then you get there and this doesn't
changes.
work. And you gotta go and this guy is just on you, just bouncing, like just never stopping. For me, because and the way that I fight like Marvin Hagler. I fight like Chavez. I break you.
Yeah.
You know, this is the way I fight these guys. They don't take no shit. They take it on the chin. You win, lose. They take it on the chin. Like, hey, fuck it, But 99% of the fights are wins. Right? Why? Because they like, I'm gonna break your will.
You know, the weird thing about this is, right, we're talking about our greatest fighters,
Fucking
right?
like that.
Yeah.
I like that shit.
We're talking about our greatest fighters, and I didn't give mine yet, but
I'm
mine.
gonna watch this motherfucker's fight just because of that last speech. Did you hear that shit? No,
I got muscles.
yes, sir.
He's gonna break them.
Gonna break him.
What's the prediction?
Pain.
There we go. We're talking about the greatest fighters, and none of us mentioned the ones who retired undefeated for some reason. You know, was it Marciano, Floyd, Kawasaki? There's a guy named Ricardo Lopez. 51 in a one draw. Nobody brings those guys up. So shouldn't technically never losing count over somebody who's lost? To me, it doesn't. But why doesn't it?
SOG, Ward too.
Ward.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Ward. Yep.
Yeah. I give them credit for being the smartest fighters. If I had a smartest fighters list, they would all be on it.
For walking away when they should.
Yep, walking away. Not keep. And they actually fought the best at that time. They didn't shy away from fighting the best fighters. They fought the best fighters and won.
But also, what we're saying, as because we've just given our answers, but what we're saying, the guys who have did the work and stayed in the game, and they really they pushed themselves. They made themselves better than, because everybody's he ain't gonna beat this guy. Fuck, he beats him. He ain't gonna beat that guy. Oh shit, he beat him. So it's it's the work ethic of these guys. Not saying that those other individuals you're talking about, but there's something about them, a person. There was something about Muhammad Ali that captured everybody. Whether you hated him or you loved him.
No, he was great.
Boxers, non-boxers,
So my three, outside the ring, Ali.
Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, we know that.
Outside the ring, Ali. Overall career, inside the ring, overall career, Sugar Ray Robinson. Prime, hands down, nobody has had skills like this. Almost looked like this guy was some kind of a robot manufactured to fight Roy Jones Jr. Prime. Because you guys can't argue. Do you argue? Have you ever seen any skill like that? Better than Roy's, pound for. I mean, it would just make your jaw drop.
You say better.
A faster fighter, just the shit he did, putting his hands behind. I mean, it was, he literally, there's very few fighters, almost none, that you could look at and they could do whatever they wanted. You look at him in the ring with highest level world champions, and he could do whatever the fuck he wants to them. Whatever he wants. Land a punch whenever he wants. Make him miss. Knock him out whenever he wants. That shit is unmatched in my opinion. So, Ali was great, but Roy was, whew.
You have a very solid stand, but you stand alone.
Absolutely alone. And and I love Roy Jones Jr. when he's undoubtedly one of the best.
Do you know Roy Jones is now living in Moscow?
No, he's not living in Moscow.
Not Russia.
He's not living in Russia. We just talked to him. He was in Russia when we interviewed him. He goes to Russia a lot.
He said he's living there, but he doesn't live there all year. He lives there for chunks of the year.
And he's got dual citizenship, right?
He's been doing that for a while. He said he loves it there because he's like, they treat me like it's 94 and I just beat James Toney again.
I'm going to tell you, weightlifting has afforded me the opportunity, like Jeremy, to travel the globe. Starting out in my dad's backyard. That didn't happen until I'm 50-some years old and YouTube came around. When I was champion of the world, nobody gave a fuck about weightlifting.
Wow.
But YouTube came about, and then I was afforded the opportunity to travel the globe. Russia, one of my favorite spots.
Yeah. Oh, and let me say, James Toney's fight that Jeremy's having, I'm going to be commentating it with Paulie Malignaggi.
Oh, shit.
And
October
Doug
29th.
Fisher. It's going to be October 29th. And then we're probably going to be doing a whole bunch of deals. What is it, a 48-fight deal?
Yeah, we did 48 fight deal.
48-fight deal, so I'll be commentating hopefully all those shits, and he might be fighting again. You will be fighting again,
I'm
probably.
probably gonna be doing more commentating than fighting.
48
If I'm fighting,
fights.
I only got a fight or two left in me. And when I say fight, I mean exhibition.
Exhibition,
I'm
yeah.
not trying to kill nobody, but I am not trying to get hurt. So, motherfucker, you better check your shit when you get in the ring with me, because I'm gonna bring it as hard as I can. I'm gonna bring it as hard as you bring it to me, right? So it's even.
Hey, check out his Instagram. You can see him throwing today. Motherfucker nasty today. He's still nasty. And this motherfucker's pretty fast himself.
What they say about speed, this goes right past you.
Yeah, I'm not bad. I still got it.